Today we have a guest speaker, a very good friend of mine whom I've learned to know recently, whom I highly and dearly value. We've got Dr. Elizabeth Mary Okelo. I believe many of us have heard of her. I believe many of us maybe have seen her. I knew her just towards the end of last year. And from that time, I was like, yes, I know what is happening. I can sense. I would say maybe I had a sense of what I want in life. And at times when the connections come, it raises your eye, it raises your heart on whom you are meeting and where you are leading to. So Dr. Mary Okelo is a lady, a very honorable lady who is an entrepreneur as well. From the poster introduced her as the first female bank manager in Kenya. Dr. Mary has had several positions, both in the public sector and privately. She's worked in the public sector as in foreign affairs. She has worked in the corporates. She's worked as a banker with the Barclays Bank. She has served as Kenya's Women's Finance Trust. She's worked with the World Bank as Women's World Banking representative. She's worked with the African Development Bank. She's served as vice president of the Women's World Banking in New York. And all and above that we know Dr. Mary for is that she started the McKinney schools, which we all know that has done very well in the Kenyan context. So today I invite Dr. Mary Okelo to be our guest speaker today. She'll speak to us, she'll elaborate to us her experience and exactly how did she manage all those positions. And I've always looked at her and said, Daktari, if I'd known whom you are from the beginning, I would have fallen shy of even talking to you or even inviting to you this. I'm grateful that I knew this much later and gave me the confidence really to talk to you so much openly. So welcome to Reflections That Inspire, to share with us your experience. Karibu sana Daktari.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your generous remarks. It's an honor and privilege for me to have been invited to this important forum, and I want to thank the organizers, and especially you, Dr. Jane Amisi, for inviting me. You have said a lot of things. I don't even know where to start speaking. But let me start by thanking God who has given me this opportunity to speak, but also who gave me the opportunity to work in leadership positions in different organizations. And I also want to thank those who have supported me along the way. My journey is a long one and it is still continuing. So I don't know where to start and where to end, but I'll just talk about maybe 4 values that have guided my leadership journey. In my journey, I have met many challenges. And some of the challenges, it's only God who could get me out. And therefore, I always try to put God first, because I have been in situations that only God I could turn to. For example, one time I was in my bedroom when 8 men robbers came and I was alone, and it was only God that I could turn to, and indeed he saved me. So I always try to put God first, because sometimes I find myself in situations that he alone, and I know he has walked with me, he has supported me, he has protected me. So I always thank him and depend on him. So that is one thing that I know every day I turn to him, because he knows me. He created me for a purpose. He gave me some things that I should use for his glory. And all the time I'm striving to find out my purpose so that I can use whatever he has given me for his purpose. I'll start my story in 1962 when I was in a class of 13 girls who were selected to start the Cambridge Advanced Certificate at the Alliance Girls High School. We were told in that class that we had to succeed, otherwise women will, the government will not invest in higher education for girls. So we worked hard, and by the grace of God, we did well. So hard work is something that has always been a value that I use in my journey. In that class, we had, my classmates were Lady Justice Efio Wall, the first woman judge in the country, Professor Florida Karani, first woman deputy vice chancellor. There was the late Elizabeth Masiga, who was the first woman chief inspector of schools. Elizabeth Mwangi, better known as Charity in the TV play called Mother-in-Law. And myself, the first woman bank manager, to mention only a few. So our success was by the grace of God, and that's why I say it taught me to depend on God. A lesson I learned when we were in that class is that we need, as women, we need to support one another. But also men need to understand the issues, the disadvantaged position of women. So if you're a leader, you have to empathize and do things to support women because they start off from a disadvantaged position. I also learned that mentoring and supporting people is very important as a leader. So everywhere I've been, I have tried to create structures and strategies for supporting staff. When I was at Barclays Bank, when I was appointed first woman bank manager, women in the bank were clerks, tea girls, and secretaries. So I started a mentoring program for women. I started an association, Barclays Bank Women, to mentor women in the bank so that they could aspire to managerial positions. I had done my training in London, so I had notes from the Institute of Bankers. I used to photocopy this, give this to the staff, and encourage them to study for professional courses, bank courses. And whenever they did, I would encourage them to apply and to aspire to be managers. I did this, and those who did professional courses and passed, I would now become their voice to tell the bank that we had girls who were competent, they had the qualifications. And slowly, the bank listened. And I remember in 1972, Mrs. Agatha Obari, sister-in-law to the late Professor Magoha, was appointed the first woman supervisor in the bank. With the time, numbers of women in supervisory positions grew. And at one time, Barclays Bank had the highest number of women managers in the country. And because of excellent performance of women, more women grew and became managers in different banks. I was always keen on Barclays because that's where I started my career. And I'm happy to say that Barclays Bank, at one time, I think it was the only listed company in the stock market. It had 50% of the board members as women. So women, if you're a man, manager, or head of an institution, need encouragement, need structures that can help them develop their potential and rise to high positions. I'm saying this to the men who are here and are leaders, that you have to do special programs for women to encourage them to rise. I had to lead by example, and in 1977, I was made a manager of Westlands branch. It was a loss-making branch. The staff morale was very low. But by God's grace, I turned that branch into profit making, and the morale grew. Also in 1982, Barclays Bank had a customer service competition in my branch one. I'm saying this because if you are a leader, you have to demonstrate that you can perform so that other people can follow your example.